Anchor Bay is a label that came out in the, I think, late 90s, early 2000s, and was primarily putting out some really cult horror stuff. And that's mostly the things I've really kind of catered to collecting with this label. It is going to be the old Anchor Bay sailboat logo, this logo here. And also, I might have some odd bits and bobs here that is not particularly horror, but I found it in a charity shop, so I had to pick it up. So let's kick this video off with the box sets. Let's go. So the first box set I have in my Anchor Bay collection is I think like a mini series called Shaka Zulu. I found it in the charity shop, £3 for £1, so I had to grab it. Don't know nothing about this show. But yeah, that's a Shaka Zulu. Scanners, David Cronenberg trilogy. I believe he directed just the first one. I could be incorrect there, but yeah, Scanners. Not seen these. I know the infamous head explosion scene is like groundbreaking for the time. But yeah, that's Scanners. Really happy to get the big box trilogy edition with them all in there. With, of course, the logo all lined up there. It's great. That's Scanners. The Wes Craven collection. This comes with Scream, The Last House on the Left, The Hills of Eyes, and Mind Ripper. I've seen 3 of those. I've not seen Mind Ripper, so I'm not sure what that is like. But Scream is a bona fide classic. I don't like Last House on the Left. I think it's trash. Hills of Eyes is decent enough, but I find myself going to the remake more often. But yeah, that is the Wes Craven collection. The Hellraiser trilogy. I can't believe I found this for £1 in a charity shop in pretty wonderful condition. Really nice condition. The 4-disc set. It comes with a bonus disc. I'll be frank with you guys. I think I only truly love the first movie. The rest I can take or leave. Like the second one's a bit boring. The first half pretty much rehashes what we had in the first movie, so I found it a bit boring. When they go into like hell and in the world of the Cenobites, it gets a bit more crazier, but that first half I found is quite a slog to get through. Don't remember the third one very much, but I remember not liking it as a younger person. I don't remember liking it that much, but yeah, maybe it'd be a rewatch soon. But yeah, that's the Hellraiser trilogy. The Evil Dead trilogy. Really glad to find. I found this in CEX for like pretty much nothing, like 10, 12 quid, something like that. But yeah, I had to grab it immediately when I saw it, because I don't think Evil Dead 2, you can't get that individually on Anchor Bay. You only can get Evil Dead and Army of Darkness on the Anchor Bay label as individual single releases, but you couldn't get Evil Dead 2 as an Anchor Bay single release. So this was really right up my street to grab this for the Anchor Bay collection. That's the Evil Dead trilogy. Next up is probably one of the most expensive sets that I've picked up for Anchor Bay. I think I paid about 45, 50 quid for this box set, and that is the Blind Dead collection. The artwork spoke to me for this. They're all in their own individual cases. It just looks beautiful. I just had to snag this when I saw it. I thought it looked wonderful. I've never seen them, but it looks like a cool kind of almost like zombie, ghost or zombie stories maybe, but the artwork's solid to me, and it's a nice meaty box set. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out, definitely. First of the Box of the Band box sets. These are pretty cool. This comes with I Spit on Your Grave, Zombie Flesh Eaters, The Driller Killer, Evil Dead, The Last House on the Left, Nightmares and a Damaged Brain, and a documentary called Ban the Sadist Videos. I found with a lot of these kind of collected sets, there's a lot of crossover with some of these. So of course, I've got the Evil Dead trilogy, I've got Last House on the Left and stuff like that. So there's a lot of crossover with these like more kind of generic. I think it's quite a cool concept for a box set. Video Nasties, Box of the Band, but there's a lot of crossover with other box sets. But this box set is really, really nice. I love it. I think it's cool. That's Box of the Band. We follow it with that with its sequel, Box of the Band 2, which I think I like even more. I love the black and red there. This looks awesome. I had a funny story about this box set. I bought it originally from CEX. They gave me the discs for this set rather than this set, and I was so angry. I couldn't express how angry I was. I was so annoyed. So I ended up sending that back, getting a refund, and I found this one even cheaper on eBay. So it's actually in pristine condition. It's in beautiful condition as well. This box set comes with Tenebrae, Contamination, Don't Go Near the Park, The Witch Who Came from the Sea, Evil Speak, and Ban the Sadist Videos Part 2. So when it comes to the selection here, it's more of an obscure selection of films, which kind of gravitates me towards this set a bit more. But yeah, that's Box of the Band 2. the Sleepaway Camp 3 DVD set trilogy. This is probably the second most expensive set that I've purchased for Anchor Bay. This is about £40 on the internet. But I wanted the big box edition with them all in their individual cases. There is a separate version of this that I used to have, which was like a more of a slimline package. That was that had the newer Anchor Bay logo on it, which is fine. But I wanted the kind of sailboat logo. But yeah, never seen these. I know that the first one is kind of almost like legendary in that it does things that you had no idea would be coming along towards the end of the film. But I have been spoiled to the end of the movie, so I know what the context is. But I do want to watch it for myself, just out of curiosity, and see how I find it as a slasher film. I've heard the sequel's pretty good fun as well, regardless of its downgrading quality. But that's Sleepaway Camp. Next up, we have the 5-movie collection of Halloween. This was kindly gifted to me by Andy of Forgotten Mode of Movies. So once again, Andy, thank you so much for this. This is awesome. Yeah, I'm a bit of not a noob on Halloween, but I've seen the first chunk and the end chunk of this franchise. Halloween 5, 6, H20, and Resurrection I have not seen, so I've got a bunch still to watch there. But this set's really nice. There is a difference. There is another set on Anchor Bay for Halloween. It's more of a completed set, which includes 6, H20, and Resurrection. But it goes for silly money on the internet at the moment. But I will get that eventually for the collection. But right now, I've got this 5-movie set. So yeah, once again, Andy from Forgotten World of Movies, thank you so much for this. You are a dude. But yeah, that's great to have this in the collection. The final box set for this section of the video is the Children of the Corn trilogy, with this wonderful lenticular slip box right there. I hope that coming across on camera, because it looks awesome in real life. But yeah, not seen these movies. And I just want to preface this as well. I know I'm already like 8 minutes into this video, but like, I won't be watching most of this stuff, that, you know, because I've upgraded these to Blu-ray or 4K in some instances. So I will be watching those in better formats. But I just love this label. I love collecting this label, and when you get packaging like this, that this looks awesome, it just gives me more reason to collect this. So that's Children of the Corn. Right, we're going to move over to Slipbox releases. So the first Slipbox release is a movie. Is it a movie or is it a series? I think it's a movie called Redemption with Jamie Foxx. Found this in the charity shop for £3 for £1. So Anchor Bay, I had to pick it up, of course. I don't think it's quite a horror movie. I don't think it is at all. I think it's more of a prison break movie. But the label is Anchor Bay, so I picked it up. Undead. This is a film. Apparently is super low budget, and apparently it's a lot of fun. About zombies or whatnot, or something along those lines. But yeah, I know nothing about it. I think I tried to watch it a few weeks ago, but I kind of was really tired, so I didn't get through it. And it's super low budget, guys, like super low budget, to the point where it was almost felt like I couldn't get through it because it was so low budget. But I will revisit this at some point and give it a second go. That's Undead. Bubba Hotep, Bruce Campbell playing Elvis Presley, apparently. This is, I don't know if I would call this a horror film per se. It's more of a kind of like a horror comedy in that regard. I don't remember too much about this movie. I have seen it when I was a bit younger, but I need to give it a rewatch. But yeah, that's Bubba Hotep, nice slip box. Nice bit of spot gloss in there. If I try to bend the light on that, there you go. You can see it there. It's really cool. Yeah, Bubba Hotep. Really nice slip box on this. Anchor Bay. Q, the Winged Serpent. I've been meaning to get onto this for a long time. I've not watched this movie. It's a monster movie that people keep saying is underrated as hell. So I need to get onto it. But yeah, wonderful artwork on that slip box. Fucking beautiful. Yeah, it's got a nice smooth sheen to it as well. It's really soft to the touch, which is quite nice. But yeah, that is Q, the Winged Serpent, the Evil Dead. This is more of a digipack kind of limited set. Yeah, just basically very basic in my opinion. Yeah, that is the Evil Dead. Malevolence, with a really nice clear slip box, which I really like. I think it's pretty fucking cool, to be honest. And when you kind of slide it through, boom, it actually adds to the artwork, which is really nice. So that's Malevolence. Nothing about this movie. Not too sure about it, to be honest. I don't know. It seems kind of weird, but that's Malevolence. Dead and Buried. Now, I love this movie. I think this movie is criminally underrated. No one talks about it. I picked up the 4K on Blue Underground very recently and gave it a proper watch for the first time. It was fucking fantastic. This edition for Anchor Bay is one of the earliest Anchor Bay pickups I actually got, and that's made me actually fall in love with the label, because this fucking slip box is gloriously shiny, beautifully presented as well, and then you've got the case there. But yeah, I implore everyone to check Dead and Buried out. It's so unique. It's such a unique movie that I don't think there's any movie quite like it, to be honest. It is absolutely fantastic. It was on the Video Nasties list, but it's not low budget. It's got a much bigger budget than a lot of these 80s kind of slasher movies, horror movies do have. Much bigger budget, a bit more polish in there, but the story is very, very unique, and I fucking loved it. So yeah, Dead and Buried is definitely a recommendation for me. If you don't care about getting DVDs, this Anchor Bay release is really worth picking up. So yeah, that's Dead and Buried. The final slip box for this section is The Last House on the Left. Yeah, I don't like this movie. Don't like this movie at all. I think it's a load of shit, to be honest. I just think it's just a grueling, nasty, trashy movie that's not enjoyable. And when it tries to give you a bit more of like a payoff with the parents getting their revenge, I don't think it executes that very well. I think it's a bit of a plodding kind of final act. You don't have a very good payoff at all in this movie. Thankfully, Wes Craven gets much better in his later career with Hills of Eyes, Nightmare on Elm Street and the like. But yeah, this is a film I don't like, but this was in the charity shop and I had to pick it up because it was in pristine condition. But yeah, that's Last House on the Left. Next up, we will go to singular releases. Let's go. First up for singular releases, we have a film that I was really surprised how much I like this one. It's Nightmare City. This film is just wonderfully chaotic and just insanely intense. This is a zombie film where these zombies fucking absolutely fuck people up in the most gruesome and brutal ways. They actually know how to handle knives and, you know, weapons in some regard in this movie. I love the artwork for this cover. I think it's amazing artwork. I love it. It's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful artwork. The only contention I have with this movie is the ending. The ending comes out of nowhere and just punches you in the gut. Not in the best kind of ways. In like, did I just waste my time watching this whole movie? I don't really want to get into specifics for the ending of this movie, but it did make me feel like I wasted my time. However, on further reflection, shall we say, this was still just an entertainingly hell, really good movie, and I kind of respect the ending of how ballsy it was to go that route for the ending. But this film is a great infection zombie film that I think everyone should check out. It is absolutely batshit insane. I think you might find some enjoyment from it. That's Nightmare City. Army of Darkness. The fun fact about this release is that it's the only release that I've ever seen that kind of has the prefix of the Evil Dead 3. It was never ever called Evil Dead 3, and for some reason this release calls it that, which is weird. But in all fairness, that's what it actually is. So we can't really, you know, argue that it's not that, because it is. But I think they wanted to keep it just as a singular name. But yeah, never enjoyed this film that much, to be honest. I originally watched it on 4K for a rewatch, and I enjoyed it more to a point. I think Bruce Campbell is the best part of this movie. He's fantastic. And playing his other half, like Evil Ash as well. It's just the fact that he's playing two roles is amazing. But there's a point in this movie that really just pulls the movie down for me. I was enjoying it all the way up until the windmill sequence when you get the little mini ashes, and I didn't find it very funny. I found it overly goofy, and it just brings the film to a halt, in my opinion. I know its significance is there to bring us Evil Ash into the story, but as a sequence that's meant to progress the film, I feel like it brings the film to a halt and it takes me right out of the experience. But yeah, I mean, Darkness is fine for what it is, in my opinion, but it is my weakest Evil Dead movie in the franchise. But that is the singular release of Army of Darkness. Speaking of Evil Dead, we got the singular edition of Evil Dead. Yeah, just basically the same as the digipack version, but in a clamshell case. But yeah, Evil Dead. Next up, we have the 25th anniversary edition of Halloween. I don't think this has got anything special on it. I think it's just a reissue, pretty much, of the Anchor Bay release, of the standard Anchor Bay release anyway. But yeah, the 25th edition of Halloween. Two Evil Eyes, a film I've not watched yet, but the idea that it's brought to us is basically a collaboration between George A. Romero and Dario Argento really intrigues me. I do want to get the Blue Underground 4K at some point, but I will be checking out Two Evil Eyes at some point, because the duo of directors here cannot be ignored. That's Two Evil Eyes. Halloween 5 on Anchor Bay. Now, I've not seen Halloween 5, so I don't know what they can really do with it or where they go with it. But it has Jamie there, and what they did with her character for Halloween 4 I thought was very, very fascinating and very, very cool. I love the ending to Halloween 4. I think it's a great ending. So I'm hoping they capitalise, but from what I heard from the grapevine is that they don't capitalise whatsoever. It's almost a wasteful kind of ending for Halloween 4. But we'll see when I get around to Halloween 5. That's Halloween 5. Next up we have the cool limited edition, kind of almost like lenticular of the original Halloween. And I hope that lenticular comes across on the camera, because it fucking is amazing. I love this. It's so cool. Yeah. Really nice edition. It's a 2-disc edition from Anchor Bay. Amazing artwork on the discs as well. I fucking feel like everyone should own this edition of Halloween, because it's just amazing. Even if you don't collect DVDs, if you love having this film, just get this edition because it's awesome. That's Halloween. Next up we have a double bill, a double disc edition, a 2-movie edition, and that is Alligator and Alligator 2. I love Alligator. I think it's absolutely a fucking brilliant creature feature from the 80s. One of the best the 80s has given us, in my opinion. It's really good. I watched it the first time this year. I fucking loved it. Alligator 2 is pretty much a 10-year pseudo remake of the original, but I found it to be still pretty much a lot of fun. It's different in enough ways for it to be not a straight up rehash of the first one. Pretty much it kind of is, but it has elements there that change up a little bit, and I just think it's a lot of fun, the sequel as well. So this is definitely a double bill I recommend. If you've not seen these, they are great creature features, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun indeed. And Alligator 2 has already got 10 points because it's got Dee Wallace in it, and she's a great actress, and I fucking love Dee Wallace. So Alligator and Alligator 2 definitely worth picking up if you can. The House That Dripped Blood. This is a Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee classic, Hammer horror. I don't think it is Hammer horror, but it's an Amicus release. Not seen this one. It's a vampire movie, but it could be good. Well, it's Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, so it's gonna be some kind of quality there, of course. So yeah, not seen this one, but it sounds like it might be a lot of fun. That's The House That Dripped Blood. Next up, we have what I consider to be one of the most underrated werewolf movies of all time. Speaking about Peter Cushing, he's in this one as well. The Beast Must Die. This is very much a super underrated, almost like Who Done It, Cluedo, Clue, kind of almost premise where Peter Cushing's character invites his people to this mansion, and he basically says, one of you is a werewolf, and I'm going to find out who it is. It is so much fun, so well directed, so well acted. Peter Cushing is great in it. I think it's just such an underrated werewolf movie, and no one talks about it. And yeah, I think it's so good. It got a Blu-ray release on the Indicator label, so I recommend picking that up if you can. But yeah, this is of course a pickup that I had to get for Anchor Bay. That's The Beast Must Die. The Crazies. Now, I have a crazy opinion on this one. I prefer this over the remake. The remake goes for more that typical straight up violent, brutal infection movie. This one plays it a bit more downbeat and is more about not so much the infection, but more about the people in power and how they are dealing with this infection. It's quite harrowing to watch this after the pandemic we've just gone through in 2020, and it is kind of an eye-opener thing of how sometimes our world leaders have no idea what the fuck they're doing, and this film really emphasises that. It's such a great slow burn thriller, horror in some aspect, but I adore this film for what it does and for what it is, and it is really good. You could kind of say the remake is completely different to this movie. It has the same similar themes in that it follows the infection, these people they dub crazies, but it's more focused on the carnage that ensues in that movie, where this is more, like I said, downbeat and more about people trying to figure out how they're going to contain and deal with the infection. But yeah, this is fucking awesome and I love it. That's The Crazies. Another non-horror to the list of Anchor Bay, and that is the awesome dark comedy romance movie Heathers. I love this film. I think it's fantastic for all it is. Christian Slater's performance in this is unbelievably good. There's a moment in this where I'm pretty much straight up believing that he could be a Joker. He could have played the Joker at some point in his career, because he fucking goes proper crazy good in this. in terms of like it made me think of the Joker immediately, his performance, and I can imagine him in the makeup and actually kicking ass as the Joker. But yeah, Heathers is great. It's super dark in a lot of the right ways. It's funny in a lot of ways as well. But I just love the idea of these two characters. Veronica, she's part of this group called Heathers, this kind of clique, and JD doesn't like them at all, and he just would rather them die. And then they go and plan to kill off all the Heathers. It's very dark. It's very kind of tongue-in-cheek in places as well, but the darkness kind of almost overshadows the comedy in this. It's very bleak in places, but I love this film for what it is, and yeah, it's just a great fun ride to go through and follow these two characters that fall in love and they decide to go on a killing rampage. It's really, really fun. I love it. That's Heathers. A couple of separate releases now. This is Hellraiser, but this is on their horror classics like sub label, and as you can see, the Anchor Bay label's gone turned orange on this, so it's a bit different. But again, you're just getting Hellraiser on a standard DVD. Nothing special here, but that is Hellraiser on the Horror Classics Anchor Bay label. Phantasm also on the orange Horror Classics label. This is the film I am in big overdue need to rewatch. I remember watching this as a teenager and not really getting it, not really liking it that much. I thought it was a very slow burn, very kind of dull. But I know this has got a lot of fans. I've got the complete set on Blu-ray from Arrow Video, so I will be checking out this franchise at some point. I say that it'll probably be about 10 years. Yeah, I know this has got a lot of fans. It's got a really unique kind of antagonist with a tall man, and you've got the balls of the blades that just basically drill into your fucking brain and kill you. It's got some cool ideas, but as a teenager I didn't think much of it, but I definitely need to rewatch this one. That's Phantasm. Next up we have the Horror Classics sub-label edition of Halloween. People are probably wondering, is that the third Halloween edition you just showed, Jason? But yeah, I got loads of Halloween on Anchor Bay. Yeah, I just thought, why not grab all of them? I think this was a sub now, I can't remember, but yeah, that is Halloween on the Horror Classics Anchor Bay sub-label. Time Bandits. Not seen this one, but it looks like kind of like almost like kind of fun, like the Goonies, maybe kind of the Goonies if they're a bit older and they were pirates or something. I don't know. You tell me, guys. I've probably got the wrong impression completely. But yeah, looks kind of fun. Kind of gives me Peter Pan vibes, but I don't know why. But yeah, that's Time Bandits. The remake of the Toolbox Murders. I found this in the charity shop again, and I couldn't leave it there. Anchor Bay, had to get it. In pristine condition. So 2-disc edition as well, which is really, really nice. But yeah, I do believe Toby Hooper directed this, and he did. Yeah, Toby Hooper directed the Toolbox Murders remake, so maybe it might be actually pretty decent. Who knows? But yeah, that is that. Next up, we have a film called Android on Anchor Bay. This was kindly bought for me from my love Soph, because we noticed that this features Don Keith Opper, and he played Charlie McFadden in the Critters franchise. So he had to pick up a film that he was in before Critters, because I think the actor's great and I just really like his acting. He's a good actor. So hopefully this one will be a really fun, silly sci-fi movie with Don Keith Opper. Who knows? It might be really, really good. That's Android. Next up, we have a slasher movie everyone talks about being really, really, really good. I've not seen it yet because I want to get the Blue Underground 4K, but I digress. That is Maniac. Yes. I'm sure this film is in first. Is it in the first person's perspective, or am I thinking of something else? I might be thinking about the remake, because I heard the remake is all in that first person perspective. But yeah, not seeing this one. I know this is meant to be really gnarly and brutal and gory. But yeah, not seen it. But I love that artwork. I've always loved that artwork ever since I saw it. But obviously I've not seen the film, but I've just seen this artwork all over the place. It's great. But it's great to have this one on Anchor Bay. This one's seems to be more of a high-priced Anchor Bay release in terms of second-hand market, but I was able to get it for about £7, which I was quite happy to pay. So that is Maniac. The Long Good Friday. This was like £1 in CX, so I just grabbed it because it was Anchor Bay. I don't know anything about this movie. I do love Bob Hoskins. He's a great actor, so I'm sure this movie will be pretty decent. So yeah, that's The Long Good Friday. Shallow Ground. Just looks like a fun kind of set in the woods kind of horror movie. Sounds pretty decent to me. So I don't have anything much to say, guys, but yeah, that's Shallow Ground. Next up, we have the double disc edition of The Hills Have Eyes. This film is definitely, for me, a step up from Wes Craven's Last House on the Left. He's definitely understood how to write characters better and write scenarios better, in my opinion. And this film has the balls to kill off pretty much the majority of the main protagonist cast in one sequence. It's fucking ballsy to do, and I commend Wes Craven for doing that in this movie, because you never expect it coming. You probably will now because I'm spoiled it, but you get my point. Like it just comes out of nowhere. You never expect it to come in, and then you're stuck with maybe like 2 characters or so after the fact. But yeah, this is a decent movie for what it is. I definitely prefer the remake over it, unfortunately, but I do have to give this a rewatch over at some point, because it's overdue for sure. That's The Hills of Eyes. A madman. I did try watching this, but I thought the dialogue was terrible. I thought the dialogue was awful. I know this is like an 80s slasher, so it's like, what do you expect, I suppose, from an 80s slasher? But I expect better dialogue than what I heard in this. It was dreadful dialogue. So I couldn't find myself to push on with this one, but I definitely need to give it a rewatch or pick up the Arrow Blu-ray at some point. But yeah, that's Madman. Dracula. I don't know what Dracula this is. This is 2004 according to the box, but that could be incorrect. But yeah, I don't know. Just another Dracula movie. This is a franchise, has been retold. A story that's been retold numerous fucking times. This was a subscribe mail from Al Pearson, so thank you very much, Al, for this as always. But yeah, that's Dracula. The Brood. Now, I've not seen this one, but I do know somewhat things about it, and it sounds fucking horrific. Another just sounds like it's another brutal body horror that only David Cronenberg can really give us these days. I mean, back then anyway, in the 80s or whenever this came out. When did this come out? It doesn't tell me. But anyway, The Brood. It sounds like just like, you know, Children from Hell or something like that. It just sounds fucking nasty. But yeah, that's sounds really cool. I had to pick it up. It was in the charity shop. It's a no-brainer. The Sword and the Sorcerer. I was keeping my eye on this. This was in CEX, in my local CEX, and it was way too much money that I wanted to pay. I think it was like £12. I was like, I'm not paying £12 so they can go away. But I slowly watched it decrease in price, and it got to about £6. And I had a voucher, and I thought, you know what, £6 is fine. So I grabbed it for £6. Not seen this one. I adore that artwork. I think it's fantastic. The big thing in the early 80s at the time was these big kind of sword and board fantasy movies. I think this kind of follows suit there, and that's when we got this movie. But hopefully this is good. I'm hoping it's good. That's The Sword and the Sorcerer. Another kind of not horror movie we have with Nell and I. Not seen this one. Don't know nothing about it. This one was in the pound shop, of all places. In the pound shop, an Anchor Bay title in the fucking pound shop. Who thought it? But yeah, not seeing this one. I don't know what it's really about. It sounds like it's just about 2 friends squatting about and stuff. I don't know. I'm not even going to try and just guess what it's about. But anyway, that's with Now 9. Creepshow 2. Now I've not seen any of the Creepshow movies, if I'm honest. The kind of anthology movies. But I like the artwork for this one, and it was Anchor Bay, so it was a no-brainer for the collection, I suppose. I'm hoping the first one is on Anchor Bay. I hope I can get that. And I think the third one is, but I don't think it's the old Anchor Bay. I think it's the new Anchor Bay, which kind of puts me off a little bit. But I digress. That is Creepshow 2. Now, this is the final DVD of my Anchor Bay collection, and that is a film called Jack the Ripper. I think this story's been told numerous times as well, similar to Dracula in that regard. Just a classic kind of horror character the story's been told over and over again. What made me pick this up? It was Anchor Bay, so I was going to pick it up, but it's got Michael Caine in it. So that intrigues me, because I like Michael Caine. He's a very good actor. And yeah, it might bring some quality to a story like this. But yeah, that's Jack the Ripper. There you go, guys. That is my complete Anchor Bay collection as it stands. I'm sure it'll become even more of a sizable collection in time, but that's how it stands. I'm quite happy about what I have here. Not seen a lot of it. I do got to get down to watching some of it because it's getting ridiculous. But yeah, definitely recommend some stuff in here. Alligator's great. The Beast Must Die is awesome. The Halloween movies are just fun all round. Nightmare City's brilliant. Yeah, recommend quite a few here from Anchor Bay. And I do recommend this a really cool label to start collecting, because now this old version of the label is pretty much defunct. And when you got them on the shelf all in line, it looks awesome. When you've got all the Anchor Bay labels just lining up, it looks fantastic. So definitely recommend it. And as always, Anchor Bay, Bay. See you guys next time, I suppose. Bye.